Paul set off for France to work on an organic farm and attend music festivals over the summer. While there, he sent us this email. Hi Mum and Dad, how are you both? I'm good. I've been at the farm now for a week. The days are long here. I start early and finish late, but we work at a rate which is comfortable. With the sun, it has only rained for one day in the 3.5 weeks I've been here. It's important to take regular breaks in the shade. The farm that I'm working on is predominantly a place which offers chambre d'hôte, bed and breakfast and evening meals. The produce from the garden is used to feed the guests. There are also geets, self-catering accommodation. The large geet for 10 people is used by an organisation which organises holidays for handicapped people with learning difficulties. There is a young couple, Fabian and Tiffin, who look after them and entertain them. They are both really nice. In fact, everyone here is really nice. There is the owner, Bertrand, a woman who is doing an internship for her studies, Muriel, and a resident handicapped man who works in the garden and is 72, though he doesn't look it at all, called Marcel. I am really enjoying my stay here. I predominantly work in the garden, but also in the kitchen. I have 1 week left here before I go to a festival in Brittany, then afterwards back home. I hope you are both good and look forward to seeing you both when I return. James Wallace will be visiting me briefly for 2 days when I get back. Then I will be going up to Edinburgh to finally deliver that website. But after that, I can pay you both a visit. Et papa, as-tu encore fini les tutorials Photoshop et Dreamweaver? Alors, tu m'as dit que tu aimes discuter les choses, le subject Dreamweaver en français n'est pas. À bientôt, Paul. Having advertised myself in Hannah's music shop as a bass player looking for work, I was contacted by Richard Oliver on behalf of his cover band called Silver to see if I'd like to audition to be their stand-in bass player when the need arose. Jan and I went to see them perform at the bandstand by the river in Chepstow. After this, I was sent a list of 42 of the songs that Silver performs and began the process using YouTube and various music websites to work out the bass parts for them. This kept me very busy for the best part of a month. I met up with Richard Oliver and went through the songs with him, making alterations to the bass parts where necessary. This process took 4 hours. He told me that there was a potential performance in September when I could play bass with the band. I drove over to Ross-on-Wye for a rehearsal with the Silver Band, and 2 days later I was playing bass for them at the 3 Tons in Chepstow. A great experience, which also made me £40 richer. Silver asked me to play bass in November at the Ross-on-Wye Rowing Club. Unfortunately, a few weeks later, I was told that the November gig was cancelled as the organisers had decided to hire a disco instead. With Catherine and Skye, we joined Elizabeth and John on their boat Adagio, which they had moored at Bristol, and we sailed around Bristol Harbour before leaving them to continue their journey back to Hampshire. During January 2013, at 5 a.m. in sleet and snow, we drove the 100 miles over to Newington Mill near Banbury for a 9-day home-sit. There we looked after 2 dogs, a cat, 8 hens and 2 lizards, to which we had to, reluctantly, feed locusts. The thick blanket of snow surrounding us eventually melted, triggering the automatic pumps protecting the mill house from the resulting floodwater. Next we went house-sitting in the Gower for 11 days at Kilruven Farm, the home of Lady Anne Green. There we looked after a cat, 6 peacocks, a hedgehog and a multitude of wild birds. One day we took the bus to Rossilly and walked over Rossilly Down to Hill End and back, before walking across the causeway to Worm's Head, 8 miles in all. On other days we walked to Park Mill through the woods, to the coast via Bishopston Valley, and through Southgate to Three Cliffs Bay. Richard Oliver put me in contact with Paul English, who invited me to join his ukulele group playing U-bass for them at Drybrook in the Forest of Dean. Over the year we organised 4 open mic evenings at the Rose in Hand pub. The 5 of us drove up to Rochdale, where Jan, Catherine and Skye stayed in a hotel with the Priestley cousins, who were researching family history in the area. Paul and I drove on to Shire Oaks and stayed with Mum and Dad, where we worked in the garden and watched the Rolling Stones at Glastonbury. Having collected the other 3 from Rochdale, we then drove over to Skelmersdale to visit Mary in a residential home. Pam and John came to stay. The weather was great and we went on 2 8-mile walks. For one we took the bus to Tinton and walked back to Chepstow via the Offa's Dyke Path. Our second walk was through Pisfield Park and up to the Eagle's Nest and back. We managed to photograph 28 Penterry Park from the Eagle's Nest. The Southampton police rang to tell us that Roger had been found in his home lying incapacitated in the bathroom floor following a stroke. After assessment in hospital, he was moved into the Peel House care home. The matron there asked us to bring his computer when we next visited. Assuming that it had been at Roger's request, we called in at the house to collect it. However, Roger was not at all pleased. On Christmas Day we visited Paul at Gullybrook Lane for a light lunch, and then we all went on to Catherine and Skye at Cranbrook Road, where we met their friends Kate and Chris. After the meal we played ukuleles and sang together. The Chepstow U3A ukulele group met in our conservatory for the first time in February 2014. There were 22 members, including our neighbour Carol. I now began work on the ukulele group website with its logo of Jan's pink ukulele. Jan and I went with Catherine to 3 locations where her dog walkers were working. I videoed and photographed their activities, and then placed 3 videos on YouTube and created a Doggy Ventures website featuring a short clip of Schnitzel, a Jack Russell. While on a home sit in Newport, we purchased a Kala U-bass and an Ibanez Electro concert ukulele. On several Sundays we walked down to the bandstand near the river and joined Pat and Alan Jones listening to a variety of musicians and singers, including a good Beatles tribute band called The Beat Goes On. At the end of August, Jan and I went to the Primfest musical festival, where Y Notes performed 8 songs. There was also a ukulele jam session during which I played Ain't No Sunshine as a solo. In the lovely weather, I enjoyed going to the shop for the I-paper and then reading it while sitting on the hammock. Evenings were often spent walking through the Peaceville Park woods. One day I walked the 8 miles up to the Eagle's Nest and back in 2 hours and 20 minutes. Talk of a U3A clarinet group being formed persuaded me to buy one. To my amazement, I was able to buy a Buffett B12 for £82 through eBay. A brand new one sells for £400. Jan and I recorded 18 songs each, audio and video, which we put up on YouTube and created websites, which we named Our Jan and My New Uke. On a walk through the town we stopped to look in the window of Hannah's music shop and saw a notice from Steve, who was asking for a bass player to join his duo. I contacted him and started driving the 10 miles over to St Brivil's each Thursday. Steve played an acoustic Gibson and Anne sang very well. It set me a good challenge to up my game in bass playing yet again. Soon we were performing as the Misty River Band at the Lion Inn in Trellick.
Like Jack Harder in a corner, he don't go nowhere. What do I care? Your kisses. Come round and take on me. Can't you see I'm lost without you? I don't want fish cakes or rye bread. You heard what I said, wait please. Serve my bride. I want the premium song for yesterday. And she thought that I was something. It's an arrogant and neat world, just as phony as it can be. But it wouldn't be make-believe if you believed in me.
The Oscar's my favourite trick.
Without you, don't get around much.
Don't get around much anymore.
I'm different without you. Don't get around much anymore. How much is left in the window? The one with the wire detail. How much is left in the window? I do hope that love is for sale.
I must take a trip to California and leave my poor sweetheart alone. If she has a dog, she won't be lonesome, and the doggy will have a new home. I read in the book, 'cause there are rollers with flashlights that shine in the dark. My love needs a born protector and scare them away with one ball.
I don't want a bunny or a kitty. I don't want a parrot that talks. I don't want a bowl of little fishies. You can't take a fish for a walk. How much is that dog in the window? The one with the wiry tail. How much is that dog in the window? I do hope that doggy, I do hope that doggy, I do hope